Okay, good stuff. So, I just had a couple of questions, hopefully, that we could start with. So you have mentioned that you're doing some data collection soon with some agronomists. Um, Maybe you could describe or like what's happening with that.
Yeah, so we there's a workshop to be held on Saturday, and there will be experts from the three districts that we're working on, and the agriculture officers and experts. So we'll be
Mm,
discussing with them and what's the actual data. I mean, we source for the secondary data, but there's only a very old data available. So like 10 years back and like 8 years back. So I
mm,
think that will be irrelevant now. So we'll be discussing with the experts and all, and we'll be getting some recent data from there as well, and we'll be discussing with the farmers there as well. So
mm,
I think the gross margin and the cost benefit analysis would be better that way. So we're doing that.
mm. Okay, no, that sounds good. I think that's a good plan, and I think that will. We do have Soria joining. Hello, Soria. How are you?
Hello there, McKinsey. I'm good. Hello, Samrat.
Excellent.
Hello, Sujata.
Hello, hello, hello.
So we were just discussing this Saturday, the meeting with the agronomists, and I think that that will be a really good opportunity to get data. I think that doing this today and doing modules P minus and C minus, just to have some definitions for the climate challenges, will be a good starting point to then go to the agronomists and get data based off of that. So. Um, One thing which I think might be helpful then, uh, I'll share my screen actually. So this is the current Nepal document. I noticed that you added some new crops. That's great. And then added the districts as well. So that's very helpful. So S minus module is completely done now. So we can tick that off. And then here, going to these agronomists and stuff, I think will be very useful. What I can do for you, if you think it would help, is make a separate file outside of the tools so that it doesn't have all of these dynamic things where if you enter one thing, then it processes and calculates. So I can make you a new document if you want, just for inputting data. That would be a little bit easier. Do you think that that would be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it already, but you can make a file for us as well, so we can. That'd be better, yeah.
Okay. Uh, Excellent. Okay, I'll do that today and try to get that to you because that shouldn't be too difficult. And then I'm assuming these will also be revised then. And then we have the P minus and C minus modules. So similarly to how I've just described, I've put together this document, which is just the P minus and C minus modules without all of the dynamic things, just so we can have a go at filling these out today. So I think that the best way to do this is for maybe even just the three of you to throw out a bunch of challenges, and then I can type them in as we go. And then I'll ask prompt questions about the definitions, which I've also prepared, and then fill in those details. And then once we're all done, I'll send it to you and you can check it over and make any last changes. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, So I guess let's jump right into it. So can you all see this relatively well? Hopefully, just the challenges there. Um, yeah, if you all start just naming some challenges, I can start filling them in.
Maybe soil compaction. Let's start with that.
Soil compaction, awesome.
Yeah, soil compaction. Yeah, soil compaction and hard pan formation. Yeah, I think we can include those two
Yep.
in the same thing. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be soil soil compaction. And then the definition here, why is soil compaction an issue in these three districts?
Uh, so yeah, soil compaction has affected the water use efficiency, and then it has affected uh, how farmers are now increasingly more dependent on some kind of let us say kind of a bit of a degenerative machineries such as rotavators and cultivators, because so yeah, that has become a problem. So shifting towards conservation agriculture practices is becoming a bit tougher,
Hmm.
because farmers are like dependent on the cracking those compacts with those uh, a bit destroying type of machineries such as rotavators and
Yeah.
cultivators.
Because the soils are too hard
Yeah.
to cultivate without machinery. Okay. So why are the soils compacted? Is it because
Because
they've
of the
had
use of
machinery?
yeah, because they've had machinery use for a long time without any sort of other conservation agriculture practices in place.
Yeah. Soil. Uh, Excellent. So that's great. That'll give us enough information, and that's really all we're doing today. Is I'll ask those questions. We can go through. We'll fill this out, and then you'll take it away later. And maybe you go to these agronomists and you say, "This is a challenge that we've come up with and we think is an issue. Is this an issue?" And then, or is this an important issue? And then in the next module, in P module, um, you'll add data to all of these. But that's very good. Let's keep going.
Like, what if the problem arises which is not mentioned here? Like some other problems that is not mentioned here. Can we add that as well?
Yep, you can. We've tried to make this list pretty comprehensive, but what do you have in mind, Samrat?
I have nothing like right now, but my farmers can tell us something which is not here already. So I think we should be able to add it, right?
So in this document, you will. In the actual tool, you won't be able to add it because you need to choose from these categories. But again, we've tried to capture everything. Yeah. So again, I can send you something like this just for data collection, and then we can fill out the tool afterwards. Were there any, could we get some more challenges maybe? So we have soil compaction is an issue. Any of these other soil related challenges an issue in those three districts?
Yeah, I think soil acidity might also be one of the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And is soil acidity an issue because of cultivation practices or because it just has acidic
Because
soils?
of well, most of the soils are basically acidic soils by nature, because like it was forest kind of forest area before, and then people started slashing the forest, and the soil was acidic. Uh, and but like yeah, also due to the unawareness of farmers regarding mitigation practices of like PS management, like whether to apply lime or not, and then yeah, those were not like farmers priorities and concerns, so they actually did not know that they have problem of soil acidity. But now slowly this problem is coming to this greater mass in soil testing programs, and then this has mainly affected use fertilizer use efficiency, because yeah, fertilizers do not yeah so work as efficiently in like acidic soils. Most of the nitrogenous, yeah, phosphorus, yeah. So that has become one of the problems.
Fantastic. No, that's a good one. So is soil fertility a specific issue also that's sort of separate to soil acidity, or maybe it sounds like salinity
Yeah,
probably isn't.
actually, yeah, salinity problem isn't as much of a concern, I think, because I've not heard of it like as
Mm,
much when going to the communities and talking with the experts. But soil fertility is a problem because I think it is a problem in the sense that if you go to people, whether farmers or experts, and then ask about soil fertility, and then
mm,
every year they say that soil fertility is declining year by year,
mm. Okay.
and then there
So
is also this, yeah.
so it's sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah, and then they point the cause as overuse of chemical fertilizers, urea, DAP, potash, and so on, and limited use of organic fertilizers.
Okay, fantastic. That's good.
I think soil erosion is also an issue. I think flooding is causing
Ye-
problems there as well. I
Yeah,
think.
Soil
yeah.
erosion.
Topsoil loss,
Yeah.
loss of topsoil, I think. Uh,
Regular
Yep.
flooding happen over there, so
So why is
that's
there a
very
loss of
problem.
topsoil then? What type of erosion is that?
like flash flooding,
Mm,
like erratic flooding, but
yep.
like it is, yeah, we don't know
Okay,
like in which season, like we cannot like specifically point out that this day or this month we will get
that's
this
fine.
flooding, but over the year, 2 or 3 times there are a lot of places in Kochi province where farmers are troubled by flash floods, and then they say that their crops are lost, and then topsoils are also eroded. uh,
Yep. So that one will go into the climate
yeah,
module
exactly.
because if flash floods increase with climate change, that's something that we want to capture here. So flash floods caused by extreme rainfall events, um, and they erode the soil. Does that seem okay? I might have missed some of the things you said. Were there some other details there?
I think that's it. Yeah.
No, I think, yeah, that is it.
Yep.
Maybe loss
Okay.
of crops, standing crops as well.
hmm So it causes crop lodging.
Yeah,
Excellent.
crop losing, and then it displaces their crops. Like it uproots, and then like,
hmm
yeah, it takes away their crops. Not just losing, but it takes away their crops, like in total.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. So we've hit lots of soil ones. Let's get some other ones now. How do farmers manage residue? Do they do that well, or is that a problem? Is there much burning, or is it mostly are they mostly okay with that? Nope, that's all right. We don't have to do that one. Um,
I think
fertile.
fertilizer management could be a problem. Yeah.
Yep. Optimal. Okay, so suboptimal fertilizer management. Why might farmers manage fertilizer poorly? Is it maybe that they don't know how to use it properly? Is it that they don't have access, or what might be the reasons behind that?
They might not get fertilizers in time, and yeah, some of the farmers didn't have proper knowledge on how to apply and how much to apply fertilizers, and that is a problem, I think.
Uh,
Yeah, that is a problem. But this problem also relates to this overarching kind of a national problem of like inadequate supply, inadequate uh, procurement of fertilizers from the
Mm.
government. So this is more sort of, yes, fertilizer management is also one. It is like an agronomic issue, but this
Mhm.
also relates to that sort of macro level issue.
Okay, and that's a really important distinction there, Soria, because
Yeah.
The tool is not meant to characterize problems with the
Yeah.
country, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
if there's an inadequate supply of fertilizer for the country, what adaptation is going to solve that? There might be some ways,
Yeah.
you say organic amendments or something like that would improve soil fertility, decreasing the need for fertilizer, but then it's not as direct of a
Yeah.
relationship. Uh,
Yeah.
so maybe, because that's still something that we should capture here. That's a good one. Maybe we should emphasize here,
Yeah. Maybe we
fertilizer
should.
underuse. I don't know.
Uh, but yeah, maybe suboptimal fertilizer management also kind of encompasses farmers like inability to kind of, like what Samrat mentioned, they're like they do not know the right procedure to apply the fertilizers, and then the right recommendation doses, and then as to, like they have other sources as well locally that can be locally sourced, for example
Mm,
cow dung and then other things, but then for example they do not know how to apply that in an optimum manner. So maybe
mm.
that overall, so that can be included here. Well, I see
Yes, no, that's
suboptimal
good.
manual management and then those things as well, but I think we can include those in this category.
Absolutely. No, that's good. Again, as much detail as possible in these. So that's a lot of different things. That's good to have. Because then when we get to a workshop, if an adaptation is improved fertilizer management, let's say it's 4R fertilizer management, um, we'll go through characterizing how the implementation of 4R fertilizer management will affect the system. So if farmers all implement 4R fertilizer management, this problem will essentially disappear, right? Farmers are
Yeah.
underusing fertilizers, they're not managing them correctly, and they don't have access to them. So not having access to them, that by itself is not enough
Yeah.
here. So that's why it's good that we've added everything. Um, and then that will be a barrier for the adoption of 4R fertilizer management, which is in the workshop modules. And at the end of the workshop modules, when we come out with all of the recommendations, like policy recommendations, if the economic benefit of 4R fertilizer management is very good, it will come out and say, one of the problems here is we don't have enough fertilizer coming into the country. We don't have enough supply. So that is a key point where the government needs to intervene and get more fertilizer. Um, so just trying to explain some background and how it'll all fit together. But yeah, that's very good. Um, do we have another one?
Well, actually, I think all of these seem to be problems that will, that our experts will say that these problems are like some of the pertaining issues in Koshi province. But I think this issue of residual management, well, does this issue of crop paddy straw burning and then those things do those also like fall into this suboptimal
Yes.
residue management?
Yes, that is exactly what we're talking about.
So yeah, that is one of the issues that is very much increasingly becoming troublesome for the authorities.
Okay. Uh, just fix that. Suboptimal residue management. So farmers are burning crop residue.
Crop residues, especially
Yeah.
paddy.
Crop residue specific. Okay. And what does this do, burning the crop residue? So
Well, yeah. Actually, I think this might be like this might also. This is not actually a production constraint, but I think maybe like this could this come up in climate? No, that this is not come up
no,
in climate.
it's
But this causes like
definitely here.
pollution and yeah, this causes like pollution and so yeah. So that is one of the major um, hazards of it.
So maybe it limits the yields of the next season though, or does it not impact the yields of the next season?
Well, they have not like done some like comparative studies on that, or like there is no such narrative. But what they say, what they are saying is that if the residues are not burned, but if they are like managed in a sort of some compost fertilizers or like making some other type of fertilizers, then the yields could increase. So there is that narrative, but not more so about like like directly if you do not burn this, then your yields would increase. So that is not something that is being discussed about, but the primary focus is like pollution, and then like if you manage that, then you could increase the other nutrients in the soil if you apply it. For example, if you burn it, so what the soil scientists say here when they go to the field in agriculture extension activities is that if you burn these paddy straws, then you might get some minimal percentage of potash, but then you will burn away all the carbon and then nitrogen that is remaining in the straws. But if you like manage that, if you make something out of it like some compost fertilizers or other things, then you will get carbon and then nitrogen from that as well. So yeah, that is the narrative over here.
No, that's good. So I think proper residue management is likely to cause greater yields. I think that's fine. So we just need to look at what the limitation caused by improper residue management is. So if it limits yields that could be higher from better residue management, that's the gap that we're looking at. So that's fine. And I think the agronomists will be able to help with the data for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All good there. Do people recycle seed much, or do they just not have access
Yeah.
to good good varieties?
Yeah, but I think this is not much of an issue because recently the replacement seed replacement rates are like on the rise,
Hmm.
and then they are procuring hybrid seeds for most crops.
Okay, great, fantastic.
So recycling is not kind of an issue here.
No, that's good.
So
Okay.
for the crops that we are looking at, yeah.
Yep. No, we can skip those ones. What about here? So we've talked about plowing a little bit with
Yeah.
soil compaction.
Yeah.
Maybe would you say that they're excessively plowing then? I'm not sure. Is that something maybe, or no?
I think this is also one of the issues, but I think soil compaction kind of also captures the essence of this
Yep.
issue.
Good stuff. What about planting? Just everything about planting. Is there problems with density,
Yeah.
spacing?
I think yeah, suboptimal crop
I
rowing and spacing. Yeah,
Mhm.
like farmers do not exactly know what should be the spacing, and so
Yep.
they do not practice optimal crop spacing, I think.
Okay, and why do they not practice that? Is that just because they don't know, or what would be the reason behind that?
Yeah, most of the farmers don't know, and I think it's easier for them to not practice that.
Well,
yeah, and then
how so? Why would it be easier for them to not do proper row spacing?
Well, let me add to that.
Mhm.
So I think what farmers say is that the the optimal crops rowing and spacing that is recommended by the government is not optimum. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they say yeah. So for example, in case of maize, the recommended spacing is 75 centimeters row to row and 25 centimeters plant to plant. But then they say that if you do that, then there are large gaps, and then we cannot get this, kind of nowhere near the production ceiling, productivity ceiling of our farms. So that is one of the reasons. A kind of I don't know, this confusion. I don't, yeah, this
Yes.
gap in knowledge. I don't know,
So that's what
gap
I've
in
put here.
transmission, yeah,
Um,
of knowledge.
Confusion, because if the government's saying one thing and the farmers think one thing, and they're doing something that isn't in line with the government, then then nobody really knows what's right. So I'd say
Yeah.
confusion is good. Um,
And I think this is one of the problems that should be brought up in workshops like this, because like even the government staffs, government officials who are responsible for implementing like extension activities, like district level chiefs we're talking about. So even they are saying that this is one of the issues, and even they think that these figures that the government has recommended is not optimal. So even they are saying that, but then nothing is being like changed in this documentation aspects. So I think this is something that must be brought about in this sort of workshops. I don't know if this is like this is agronomic obviously, but like a kind of a bit of towards the uh, I don't know, like upper
no, I know what you mean.
level, maybe policy documentation level. Yeah, if you get
Yep,
it. Yeah.
yep. So in this case, an adaptation. So actually, first we'll jump back to Samrat. So you mentioned before that it's easier for farmers not to do the proper row spacing and just to do whatever they think is right. Why might that be the case?
Yeah, for example, in lentil, like people just broadcast seeds all over the field,
Okay.
right? So they
Yeah.
don't make lines and all rows, and so that'd be easier for them, and they practice that.
Okay. That's good. That's a good thing to include there, because that seed broadcasting is something that is very farmer based, and lots of adaptations will address that. So that's a good one. Okay, so I'm not wanting to cut this short at all, but I recognize that we're already half an hour in, and we have enough here. But I think let's finish going through these ones, and then we'll need to spend some time on C minus as well. Um, okay, so I think we're good for those ones. Pests, weeds, and diseases. So these ones are a little bit tricky sometimes because we can also have them in climate challenges, and it's normally best to choose either to have it as a production constraint or a climate challenge, because in the climate challenges, we're looking specifically at climate-induced disease and insect outbreaks. So if the changing climate means that there's more pests, that's what we're capturing here. Whereas here, we're looking at existing pests probably aren't managed as well as they could be managed. Is this something that we would want to include here?
I think one of the issues here is mm, I think one kind of category can include all of these issues where farmers are like using this sort of pesticides or herbicides in an uncontrolled manner, and then there is no like waiting period of any sorts. And what that is doing is at one end towards the food security and then food safety side of things, it is like compromising the safety of food in itself. And then at the other end, it is also kind of and this issue might also be more kind of suitable for this module.
Mhm.
This is kind of increasing the resistance of the pests, and then so farmers are needing to apply more and more of the same chemicals year on year onwards. Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe Samrat was about to say something about
Yeah, I
it.
think regarding the climate constant, I think climate covers the new insect outbreaks, but for production constant, I think the existing pest control is a problem as well. I think,
Mm.
yeah, as Sauri said, suboptimal pest control is a very big problem. I think farmers just randomly use pesticides and I think not just randomly, they overuse the pesticide and pesticide resistance is also becoming a problem, I think. So that
Yes.
would cover.
Okay, so what we'll do there is we'll split it. We'll have suboptimal pest management and suboptimal weed control. We'll have both of these. Do we need suboptimal disease control as well, do you think?
I guess so.
Yes?
Yeah, yeah. Disease is also
Thank
a
you, Sarah.
problem. I think pest disease
Yep.
and weed all are problem for there.
Okay. And again, if we end up with too many here, or you have some which you think are more important than others, that's fine. We can take some out.
Post
And it would all
harvest
be,
loss could be a problem.
so I'll just finish these ones before we move on, sorry. And it's a similar issue for all of these, that farmers are using too much chemical and it's causing a resistance. They're not having the waiting periods. It's a food safety concern. Those are a concern across disease, pests, and weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But most primarily this concern relates to pest control,
Yeah. Okay.
because most of the issues, maybe the agronomists will also bring it up, because in Nepal, the test from like plant quarantine and management control center mainly pertains to organophosphates and carbamates, and then those are like mainly pesticides,
Yep.
like insecticides. And then yeah, so farmers are being like tested and controlled for that. So that is
Okay.
something that can
Good.
be well documented, and then data can be found. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. Do farmers have issues with water management? This is a bit of a tricky one, but what do you think?
Yeah, limited water access is one of the major primary production constraints. So if you ask one random person in Kosi province what is the most like challenging part of doing agriculture, and then they will say like limited water access and availability.
Okay. So why is there not enough water? Is it a lack of infrastructure? Is it um, there's not enough water to go around? What is the specific reason for that, do you think?
I think a combination of all of the things that you said, like lack of infrastructure, and then like management issues as well.
Like what? What do you mean management issues? Because
Ma-
that's what
man,
we're looking for here. So
yeah, management issues in the sense that management towards like irrigation supply from the authorities as well, but then like water management, like inefficient water use by farmers as well.
okay. So that is what we will have here. Inefficient water use by farmers. Um, that is what we are looking for, uh, mainly because the other ones are not on farm. So the other ones, either the government mismanaged, there's not enough infrastructure. All of those things are a little bit difficult to include um, because they're not specifically on farm. Oops.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think during the monsoon season for rice, there's not much of a problem, but during the
Mm,
winter, for crops like lentil and mustard and wheat, like farmers usually don't irrigate their land properly, so the like suboptimal irrigation is a problem, I think.
okay. So that's good to keep in mind, all those comments for when you speak to the for when you do the next module, because it will be split by season as well. Okay, we're making good progress. Suboptimal water management. Oops. Okay. And what about these other ones? So cropping system, underutilized land, timely operations. Is everything well timed? Or progress? Any of these? Just let me know.
I think underutilized land might be one of the concerns because
Okay.
because farmers are leaving lands fallow, and
Hmm.
then that is also one of the like, problems in winter season here.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I think during the winter, a lot of land is left fallow, so that could be a problem. Yeah.
okay, that's good. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure this all is working. So we had suboptimal or underutilized land. And why would they do this? Just because they think that that's the best practice, or they don't have enough labor, or what's the constraint here?
Yeah, not
I
enough
think,
labor. Yeah, yes, Samrat, please go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Like they do not get enough water as well to irrigate all the land during the winter. Like mostly the agriculture is based on monsoon, rain-fed season.
Yeah,
So they do
yeah.
not get enough water to irrigate all the land, so they left it fallow, I think.
Yep. Okay. What about these ones? Harvest lost. Maybe harvest practice isn't optimal. So, do they harvest by hand, or is it mechanized mostly?
It is increasingly mechanization is increasingly being adopted for
Okay.
crop harvest in this region particularly.
Hmm.
But harvest losses is not, I think, is not much of a problem here.
Good. Um, Post-harvest losses, maybe that's normally to do with
Yeah,
storage, on-farm storage. Is that a problem at all?
that is also one. That is also a problem, but I don't think that is as much of a problem as this as these 11 problems that we have mentioned.
Fantastic. So 11 is amazing because it means that we can take one out. So what I'll do with this, as I said, I'll make it look a little bit nicer. I'll fix up the definitions as to what we've said. I'm recording this video, so I'll go back through and fix those up, and I'll have it to you by Saturday to take to the agronomists for the next modules. Okay, module C minus. So we're doing the same thing here just for climate challenges. So I already have flash floods. And we know what causes that, extreme rainfall events, and we know what it does. Mainly during the monsoon season, probably, or can it happen in winter as well?
In winter as well,
Okay. Uh,
around the time of harvesting rice, that is post monsoon rainfall. I think, yeah, we can say post monsoon rainfall.
and what months would that be?
October, I think.
Yeah,
September, October.
September, October, no, yeah, September and October, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start over here. So I'm not sure if you have all gotten this far in the instruction manual yet, but for this module, I went through this in our meeting the other day. The fact that we can't have some challenges at the same time. So, for instance, having flash flooding, we can only have that once. That's good though. But that is mainly a problem with the heat ones, and it's good to have a temperature-based one if we think that that is an issue. So out of these 6 here, so we have increased temperature and decreased temperature. Increased is obviously heat events. We can look at drought in insufficient water, and then decreased heat events or decreased temperature is it's too cold for crops. Maybe you get frost events, things like that. So let's start over here. Out of these ones, which do you think is maybe an issue, if
Maybe
any?
increased temperature. One of the increased. One of the three ones in the increased temperature category.
Okay. So
Samrat and Sujata, which one do you think is the most like
yes, let's hear from Samrat and
challenging one?
Sujata as well. Also,
Yeah.
I think increased heat event is really problematic, I think.
Mhm. And Sujata, what do you think?
I also think so.
Increased heat events?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So there's two ways to capture that one. We can either look at the number of days in a window. So we'll characterize the window in a second, above a set limit. So an example would be the number of days in September to October above 35 degrees Celsius. Let's say that. The alternative is the consecutive number of days above a certain temperature. So if you had 7 days in a row where the maximum temperature reaches above 35 degrees, maybe that's how we want to capture it. So there's two ways there. What do we think is the best one?
I think consecutive days above certain temperature
Consecutive
will
days?
be good. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and we're looking at increased heat events. And why might this be a problem? What crops and when would this maybe happen?
For crops which are grown during the summer, like uh, rice as well, I think.
So what's this? What are the summer seasons, the months of the start and end?
Yeah, March, April to I think uh, June or July, I think.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll do that afterwards. That's fine. And oopsies.
If we could also mention like this causes heat stress to the crops.
Yep. So that causes heat stress in crops, resulting in yield losses. Flash floods, let's do the unit for that as well, just so that we're up to the same point with all of them. Flash floods, where are we? Flash floods. So we can either look at one event, so the single worst flash flood in the year, or we can look at the number of flash floods in the year above a certain, with at least a certain amount of rainfall. Maybe, which is multiple events, and you count the number of times it happened. Which one do you think would be best?
I think height of the worst flash flood of the season would be used
Yep. So that then implies
because
that
it breaks
maybe,
the threshold level that the plant could resist. So I think
mm,
that would be good.
okay, that's good. So that's implying maybe that the flash floods, there are a similar amount throughout the year, maybe, as what there used to be, but they're just getting worse.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Um, yep. Is there any problems with frost in the winter season? Nope.
And there is not much of an issue.
Nope,
in this
that's
season.
fine. That we don't have to include everything, so it's good. Is there any stagnant flooding? So that would be crops are waterlogged and water stays in the field for a long time, and it's affecting yields.
Yeah, I think that is also one of the issues here over during monsoon.
Uh, monsoon season. Did we get monsoons? What were the dates of the monsoon season?
Monsoon.
I think June to July. July are the prime monsoon season. So
June, July, August, I think. Yeah.
August,
June,
yeah.
July, yeah, August.
June to August. We'll just say that. Okay. And so I'll just put in some details about stagnant flooding. So water staying in the field,
Yeah, we can say
causing,
waterlogging.
yep, waterlogging of crops. Okay, good. And units. So stagnant flooding, again, we have two options. We can look at the single worst stagnant flooding event, which would be consecutive days with waterlogged soil in the worst waterlogging event of the year, or we can look at overall in that period, how many days are waterlogged.
I think consecutive days with waterlogging
Good.
could be better. Yeah.
Excellent. Making good progress. Any issues with drought or insufficient water? This is normally an important one.
Yeah. Again, winter season.
Winter season? Okay. So there are two ways to do this. First, we can look at early, mid, and late season water deficit separately, or we can look at the whole winter season and say that there's not enough water throughout the season. We generally prefer to do all three because it gives us more challenges and it gives us more nuance in our discussion.
I think there's mid-season and late-season water deficit problem for crops like wheat, lentil, and mustard. So we can include like mid-season and late-season water deficit.
Excellent. That is exactly what we want because that tells us the early season is not a problem. Okay, so this is specifically in the winter season.
Yeah, specifically in the winter season, yes.
There's not enough water, we'll just say that. And what would be the midwinter season? Again, looking at the months.
November to December, I think.
Okay, and the late season?
December, January and February as well. Yeah, January to February, I think.
Excellent. And then we'll go to units again. So there are lots of different ones we can choose here. We can look at the total number of days through the growing season, which these ones are probably not ideal. We can look at drought, so the longest drought in that period, or we can look at the number of millimeters of rain below the average. So we have an average rainfall, how many millimeters below? So those are the two good options, and then we can do days of rainfall as well, but it's not quite as that doesn't capture it quite as well. It's a bit easier to get data for that because you just look at how much rain or how many days of rain there have been, and you can imagine what that would look like going forwards as well. But what do you think out of these four would be best?
I think consecutive days without rainfall.
Right. So drought is becoming a big
I think
problem.
that captures the issue. Yeah, that's the problem. Because millimeter of rainfall, I think that there, because there are some like flash, erratic rainfalls, like all of a sudden, and then that could, kind of underweigh the problem.
Yes, no, that's very good consideration there. Um, consecutive days without rainfall. Perfect. So we've talked about flash floods, which captures this one increased rainfall intensity. Is there any issues with hail or sandstorms? Probably not. I imagine severe winds might be a problem. What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes the
severe
crops.
winds.
Yeah, yes, Samrat, please go ahead.
Yeah, severe winds have occurred like quite often in the last decade. I think that could be a problem. Yeah.
So severe winds causing uprooting and crop lodging?
Yeah, yeah.
Mainly in the winter season crops, I think. Yeah, towards the harvest.
Yeah. So when we're all done this, we actually get to decide. So you'll have season one. So I'll obviously fix that. But you'll be able to just say which season it is a problem in. So for instance, if that's mainly a problem in the winter season, then maybe it is not a problem in the monsoon and pre-monsoon season. So you just say no for those two and yes for the winter season. So that's built into the tool as well. Severe winds, mainly an issue in the winter season. Let me think. No, that's probably enough detail because we already have the winter season dates, I think, somewhere, or maybe not. Well, what were the winter
Yeah,
season dates?
the mere mid-season and late season, which I mentioned, were for winter season.
Yeah,
So
so ends in February. And when would the winter season start?
late October to February is the prime winter season. So
Okay, excellent.
yeah.
Thank you. And then severe winds. Three different ways we can capture this. We either look at one event, so the worst severe winds of the season, the highest meters per second or kilometers an hour wind, or we look at the number of storms with wind speeds above a set limit, which is winds are overall just becoming faster, or we look at the total percent lodging throughout the season. But we'd have to be careful here because we want to specifically look at lodging caused by severe winds and not caused by flash flooding. Which of these three do we think?
I think lodging could provide a exact result for what we're looking for, but the speed is also a good indicator to consider.
Sorry, what was the other one? Wind speed.
But yeah, wind speed, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do lodging, that's good. That's still one
Yeah,
that
we can
we've
consider
suggested.
lodging, yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine.
caused by. And then we just want to make sure that we're looking at that in. Well, I guess we've chosen a different unit there, so that's fine.
But I think
Okay.
Samrat, yeah, just to quickly mention, I think severe wind is a problem in like spring season during this time of the year. No, Samrat.
Yeah, yeah, late winter to spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
late winter to spring. I think we should mention late winter to spring, and the season is like because winter season starts late October to February. Well, that is a good mention about the winter season. But I think as we are mentioning that in within this problem severe winds, we should also mention that this problem is from uh, February to maybe around April, February to April.
Fantastic. That is perfect. Okay. Do we want to include insects here? So I'm a little bit unsure if we should, because we've already talked about it here. Do you think that in the workshop we will be able to talk about insects from climate-induced events and insects from an existing problem separately? Because it's a very difficult thing to do. Nobody's been able to do it properly yet. We have enough here already to continue, and then there's the season length as well, which we will consider in a second. What do we think about these ones?
I think in the last decade there have been instances of insect outbreaks quite often, but uh, relating it to climate exactly and separating it from the pest control, I think it would be difficult as well.
Hmm. Okay, that's good to hear. That means we've thought about it, and it's still captured here then. So that's a good outcome still. Season length is the last one. Is there any problems with seasons becoming shorter or longer?
Yeah, I think recently the winters are becoming shorter. I think the global temperature is rising, as you know, so
Yep.
it has been affecting the season by about 15 to 20 days short, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Here we had floods for excessive water. And then the unit, you've pretty much already helped. Oh, there's only one unit there, so days shorter than average. Fantastic. That's very good. That means we're pretty much done with those ones. Now comes this part here, which will take a little bit more time. I'm mindful that we've done the hour. I think we could maybe finish it in the next half hour, and then I have a meeting starting with Sumyadeep to do the same thing. Is everybody able to continue? Otherwise, that's completely fine as well. And you can get some help from this with this from the agronomists as well, I think. Is everybody
Maybe we
okay?
should continue.
Continue? Are you okay to continue as well, Samrat and Sujata?
Yes, I'm
Yeah, I
okay
think we
with
can
it.
finish it quickly. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's do it. Okay, so thinking from the previous season, so it's a little bit confusing where we have two seasons, but just thinking in general, over the last time that it could have happened, what was the worst flash flood? What was the height of the worst flash flood in these areas in the last time it happened? Or is that something that's a bit difficult to know? Just
Yeah,
around. It doesn't have to be
I think we
exact.
can look for it, but uh, we don't know exactly, I think, the
Okay.
value, but we can look for it. Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for in this column, right? That is probably best to use to look at data for. So I'll leave that one. These ones are a little bit more conceptual, so maybe we talk about these ones instead. So in a mild impact year, if climate change for flash flooding was a problem, but only caused small losses. So let's say that the worst flash flood of the year caused a 10% loss, up to a 10%, 15% loss. What would the height of that flash flood be? So you can imagine a flood of, I don't know what a small flash flood would look like, maybe 2-3 centimeters. It's just like a stream of water. What would a mild impact flood be?
Well, I think we do not actually honestly have an idea about this height of flash flood. I mean, how many centimeters, how many inches? We do not have an idea
Hmm.
of this. So maybe we should look over, yeah, before putting into anything.
Okay, that's fine. So that's what we're trying to do here. So maybe I'll just go through and we'll. Do you think for any of these we might be able to put some values in, or is it best to leave these? So, for instance,
I
just
think,
yep.
yeah, I think it is best to leave this for now because, uh, yeah, we do not know like we would not even have like guesses like
Okay.
for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Samrat and Sujata can look like search for it in the internet, and then obviously you'll find something there,
Mm.
and then we'll nevertheless have our agronomists in on Saturday. So we'll meet them. So they will
Yes.
be of help filling this
Yes. I
up.
think they will help with these. That's good. Um, so as long as we understand then, so the current value is in the previous season. This one we can do easily. So percent lodging caused by severe winds. A mild year would be 10% loss, let's say. So let's say 10 or 15. What do you think?
10%, I think.
Again, yeah, 10% would be
10%
good.
would
Yeah.
be mild.
Yeah,
What
10%.
about moderate losses?
Let's say 15%, 15 to
15%? Yep.
20. Yeah,
And then a heavy loss. So starting to be quite a big
more
problem.
than 30%, I guess.
So let's say 30% and catastrophic
Yeah,
loss, which is worse,
50, 60, 50, 60, 50%, I think.
50%.
50, 60%.
And
Yeah.
is that something that could happen? So if you got a really severe windstorm, could you potentially get 50% losses?
Uh, I think yes. Yeah, I think we could get that because I've actually encountered one farmer whose like maize crops were like severely impacted by this extreme like windy yeah,
Yep.
events, and then almost about like 45% of our crops were like gone.
Okay, that's good. So, and I just sort of wanted to go through one so we understand what the process is here. So those are generally the percentages that you're looking at for each of these. So a mild is 10, moderate is 15, heavy is 30, and catastrophic is around 50% loss. So then you'll go through here with the agronomists and say, okay, if a season, well, we can actually maybe do this one as well. Just for example, if a season has, and I'll just put these in just to, as an example, if a season has 8, that's probably not enough. If a season has 15 consecutive days without water, without any rain, maybe you'll get a small loss, and then 20 is a mild loss, 25, and then if you have a month without rainfall, you'll get 50% losses or something. So that's the example of what we're trying to do here. And you just relate it back to the unit. You think in this period for most crops, what would constitute that challenge? Does So it's just you, Samrat, and Sujata who are going to this to talk to the agronomist. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you both understand what this process is here then?
Yes.
Yep. Excellent. That's good. And maybe we try to do this one as well. So we've said that winter season is becoming shorter between 15 and 20 days. So maybe that's the current values, 15 days, something around that, right?
Yeah.
Do we think we can maybe populate these for those ones? Anybody has a number for a mild impact year?
Yeah, I think we can do. Like mid impact, yeah, could be around a week, and then
Yeah.
like increasing by a week, I think.
Okay, so 7. 14, 21, and 28.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So if for instance, and then you use the prompt, if a season in these districts was 28 days shorter than average, if the winter season was 28 days shorter than average, you would get losses of up to 50%, which seems like it's something that could happen, right? That's good. Having done a couple now, are we still not confident to do these, or do we think we might be able to just put in tentative values to then take to the agronomists?
Yeah, I think we can feel it for like rainfall as well. But the
Okay, let's
values
try that.
might change after we talk to the
Yep,
agronomist.
completely fine. Yep. So the only place where these values are really important to have 100%, we have these, which is great. That's good. Module CI and module CO as well. So you can do the next module without these values, but module CO and CI need to have these values confirmed. So go ahead then for the mild impact year, late season, consecutive days without rainfall.
Yeah, I think the values would be similar for what we feel for the season days shorter for season, like increasing by a week. I think that would be good.
So would it start at a week though? Would 7 days without any rain in the winter season cause a loss?
Okay. So I think yeah, the mid late season is around like 2 months. So completing the like for the whole 2 months, I think it would be good for starting around 20 days and then 30, 40 like that. I think. Yeah.
And that sounds very reasonable to me. So 20 days without rain in the winter season would cause a 10% loss. 50 days without rain in the winter season would cause a 50% loss. So that sounds feasible. Do you want to use the same values for the mid-season or
But
different?
I think
Yep.
50% consecutive days without rainfall in the midwinter season. I think that does not necessarily cause a catastrophic damage like a 50% loss. So
Okay.
maybe we should increase this values, right?
But
Or
I think we're
yeah.
considering for only the late season and mid season, so the effect would be combined, like mid season and late season would be combined, I think. So
No,
that would
no,
be
no.
good.
We don't want to combine them. So we want to consider them individually, right? Um, if we're combining them, then we have to do total seasonal water deficit. But this is a better way to do it. So the way to consider it is you just had rain, right? Like you have a day with rain in the winter season. Let's say at the beginning of the at the beginning of the late winter season. So you've just entered the late period of the winter season, and then you have a rainfall event. You get just a normal amount of rain, and then you have 20 days after that rain with no rain. Would you get 10% yield loss maybe?
Yeah, I don't think that would be relevant, I think. I think we should do it for the total season then. Like
Okay.
we cannot just increase days like more than 50 for the late season because the season only spans like 2 months, so that wouldn't be good ideas, I think.
The
So
whole
Well,
we should,
season
well,
is
is
only two
there
months.
Well, do we have some scope to kind of change what catastrophic impact year, like what damage
Yes.
that does that include? So if
Yes,
that,
you
then
absolutely do.
we can kind of reduce this threshold for catastrophic impact year from 50% loss to maybe 20% loss because this
Yes.
yeah.
No, that's a good way to do it as well. And will that mean that we can keep mid and late season? Because I'm wanting to keep both of those if we can.
I think if we do that, then we can do that. But will that affect other like other specific challenges as well?
No, no.
But
So
so
you
we
think
can do
of
that specifically, right?
yes, you think of the
Okay,
thresholds
yeah, then
individually every time. So here it's easy because it's just a percent lodging. And then using this as a guide, but if it doesn't work, then you change it. It's completely fine. And module CI, I don't think I have a tool open, so I won't. I'll scroll down here. Module CI, where are we? So module CI then, this is an example from another file. You have your average yield, right? You're talking about, here they're talking about heat stress in the first one, in maize, in the long season. And they've said that that's a problem. So an average yield is 1.2%. A mild event yield is 1.2 tons per hectare. And then a mild year is 1.1 tons per hectare, which is quite a small loss, right? And then see that they change it for each challenge. So what a mild year looks like in heat stress is different from what a mild year looks like with rainfall timing. So that just shows what you were talking about. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So maybe these are, oh, I think we lost Sujata. That's right. So should we take these values and put them there as well, just tentatively, and they can change later, or what do we think?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
no, these values seem like this data seems reasonable,
Excellent.
considering that we are breaking up the seasons into mid and early, and then each season entails like 2 months.
Yes.
It's 60
Good.
days. Yeah.
Okay. So now that we've done a couple of them, should we continue? Do you think we can do the waterlogged ones?
I think it should be considered with the experts, I think.
Okay. What about heat? Also with the experts, or should we put in some values here?
Yeah, they would know better, I think.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm confident that you understand now, Samrat, because you've helped to fill these out, and thank you for your comments as well, Surya. The next step, I will take this, I will put it into a new copy of the tool, and I'll also prepare a new file for you to take with you when you go to see the experts. And we're good to go. That's very, very good, very productive.
Yeah. Thanks. It was a
Okay.
very interesting session as well.
Excellent. Thank you both for coming, and if there's no other questions, then we can end there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Oops.